Good evening, YouTube. Good evening, Twitch. It is I, VannKraken. This is Aeternum Academy. Yes, we're in the world of Aeternum on New World tonight. I want to say hi to Matt and Dell on the YouTube side. Thanks for joining in with us. And one of these days, I'm actually going to get in the stream on time. I'm about an hour late because I had to reinstall my audio software. I love the software side and the hardware side of streaming. It's super fun for me, actually. But I swear, it's the compatibility issues of firmware and equipment updates. They keep changing and improving things, but at the same time, they make things not talk to one another. So you have to do a lot of uninstalling and reinstalling to keep things talking. So anywho, we're an hour late, but we're on, and we're going to cover some interesting things tonight. We're going to explore the faction system in New World, which is kind of the internal politics of New World, the territory control. It's a very interesting aspect of this game. Never really had that in any other game I played where the faction control is human oriented, and as we know, if you get more than two humans in a room, you're going to have politics, and that's how the world rolls in New World. So Matt, I hope you're doing well. Thank you for stopping in if you're still with us in the chat. We will be probably trying to do some World of Warship streaming at some point as well, with kind of relaunching this channel. Just had a break after being kind of burned out, honestly, which I talked about in the last two streams. I'm not going to be belaboring tonight, but trying to move on and get back up and running. I miss streaming a lot, and hope to not have a set schedule that makes me feel pushed to always have to be on when I say I'm going to be on, but just to stream when I like. And the last 3 out of 4 nights I felt like that, so I'm happy to be back on. Our channel is oriented to helping you learn tips and tricks in the games that I play. So we're going to help you get as hopefully efficient use out of your time as possible. If you have any questions, please fire those away in the chat. That's what makes this so fun, is meeting people from all around the world, which we've been able to do while we've been streaming, and help them out with their game-related questions, and again, help them enjoy the game while we're having a good, respectful conversation 99% of the time. And I'm super competitive and always want to push myself to do better at what I do, but I, at the same time, try to be as non-sweaty as possible. And that will be the case even when it comes to PvP in this game, which I am not as good at as I am in the tank and ship games that I come from. So we will do our very best to succeed when we start showing you guys the PvP side of this game, but it can be challenging if you're not coming from a first-person shooter background, which I'm really not. We're gonna hum around town a bit, you guys, and catch up with what we finished up on last night. We did most of the main story quests in this region, which is our starter region, which is Monarch's Bluffs, which you can see here. We defeated Sir Gawain, who had been influenced by a corrupt local town leader here in Monarch's Bluffs, and had been turned into a zombified state, essentially. And we had to dispatch him and install, hopefully, a true leader of this town who will be a benevolent leader for Monarch's Bluffs as we depart on and do some different things in some other territories. So we've got some green quests here with these green pin markers that need to be turned in. We've got a couple other things on the town projects list. Remember, we've got main story quest, we've got side stories we can pursue, and we have town projects that all give us cool character and territory XP if we complete those activities. So let's run around town here, turn in our quests really quick, and then we're going to head out, I believe, to the Territory of Everfall. And that is going to be where we're actually going to experience the new questing system behind faction assignment in New World. Basically choosing a faction. All right. We have one town board quest to turn in. That's, I think, our only green quest. And then we've got to go pick up the main story quest upstairs. I'll be honest with you guys, earlier this afternoon, while I was in between some odd jobs around the house, I got about 90 minutes in on this character. So we logged off last night at level 19. There's a town project board. Let's turn in this turkey murder quest, which we completed. here's an interesting thing. If you have materials on hand and you see a quest on the board, you can just go ahead and pick that quest, and it's automatically going to highlight to be completed. So let's go ahead and do that. It's going to give us 330 character XP, only 5 gold. You don't get a lot of gold off these town board quests. And you used to get a lot more character XP. They've really toned that down. So you can't just buy your way through character leveling through these town board missions, which is what a lot of people used to do. But you do get 819 territory XP or reputation. So that will really boost, our territory standing. We're not quite to 2400 in Monarch's Bluff, so we're level 10. We can come back here and buy a house. That's what level 10 gets you. It allows you to buy the lowest size house, a tier 1 house. They go from tier 1 to tier 4. You have to be level 30 in a territory to get the biggest house, and the benefit of that is you can put more storage chests into that house and store a bunch more crap.
You've stopped the lost conquest of this kingdom. I have to wonder, are you sure you've really helped these people?
That voice, as we've been following around our quests and listening to some of the lore that is voiced over and done by cutscene now, which didn't used to be the case. It used to be all read on the note pages laying around the island of Aeternum. That is Isabella. She is going to be, I don't want to call her an antagonist, but she's an interesting character who's a little aggressive and wants us to join the dark side, so to speak. She'd be your emperor, your Vader in a Star Wars universe.
Has already breached the walls. We are extremely grateful. I welcome you back to Pridewin as a hero. I can never repay the debt this town owes to you.
It's the acting regent who assigned us on the quest to go clear the lost from this territory.
That the bloodline is now cursed. Strangely enough, your friend Grace suggested this. We were in the tavern after word of your success, and someone mentioned the shipbuilder in Oxford. She was so eager to meet
She's
this
going to give us
person.
a piece of loyalty
I would understand if you
headgear.
wish to follow and seek adventure to
And we're going to ask her if she would accept the crown in lieu of Sir Gawain, who was not a worthy successor to the leadership in this area because he had turned into a mad raving zombie, essentially.
You hear the voice of corruption?
The voice of corruption is Isabella, who's been talking to us in the voiceover.
Such a burden. In the days of Artorias, I know of no cure.
We're asking if we can fight the corruption. There may be a way to do that. We're just not going to be given the full story on that at this point yet.
He fishes the East River. You should seek him out.
Seek out a wilderness wise man. We're going to find that this wilderness wise man is actually the namesake of the server that we're on, which is Fresh Start Server Yonas. And we'll learn a lot more about him as we go on. He's a key character in our journey on Aeternum.
Stay by her side.
Priscilla, who was the person we encountered in one of our side quests and then main story quests, was a former knight. She's going to stay and protect the new Knight Regent. So she won't be coming with us. And let's see where they assigned our next main story quest. Yonas he's a wilderness dude. So he is somewhere out in the wilds. He's not necessarily in a city. Let's see if we can do this. We'll go to the journal. And we'll do view in map. So Yonas is actually here on the border of Monarch's Bluff and Everfall. So we're going to come back and pick up our quest line with Yonas, and we're going to sidetrack for a little bit and come and work on these faction quests here. And we'll talk about those in a minute as we actually highlight what the factions are, whether it's worth joining a faction. That is a question some folks might have when they're getting into New World. Okay, and we've got one other skill progression quest here. This is Giacomo, who is a house builder. I believe it's a real estate, getting prepared for real estate ownership type of quest. That's what the skill progression quest could be progressing your territory standing capability. Could be something like fishing. Later you get weapon quests, which help you unlock higher tier weapons. So we're going to head out that east gate, and just a quick glance at our inventory and character levels. So we did get 1 extra point with our greatsword while we were tooling around today. So 1 extra point on that. That's up to 7, along with spear at 7, sword and shield at 5, hatchet at 4. Trade skills, just by doing a little bit of gathering of wood, essentially for the most part, to get our wood chopping skill, our logging skill up to 50, so we can start harvesting some exotic wood. Just basically taking the next step in refining that raw material. We already got to 50 in woodworking. We're almost 50 in logging. We saved hitting that for this stream. And we're making progress on a lot of our gathering skills and some of our core refining skills. So just try to keep working on that as we go along doing these quests. We'll go and collect materials while we're doing our questing. When we come back to town, we'll do some refining. We'll do some crafting, and then we'll drop stuff in the locker for storage. Right now, we're just kind of dumping stuff into storage. Later, we'll talk about, and it'll probably be the subject of almost a whole stream, how to organize our storage better, because especially if you like to craft in this game, you're going to accumulate a lot of stuff. And as it is now, all these storages are linked in New World. They were not in the beginning when the game first launched. But you can only access or transfer products and goods between storages you've visited. So right now, the only one I can access, even though there's this whole list of storages available, it'll tell me that I can't move anything to a storage that I've not yet visited. So right now, it's all Monarch's Bluff. We have stored most of what we want to. I was going to take one little side step here before we leave town. And the first higher level trade that I leveled in my first character was the workshop, which is engineering. Engineering is a really eclectic combination of weaponsmithing, making raw ammunition, making tools for gathering, and musical instruments are actually part of furnishing. This workshop, you actually do the furnishing trade and the engineering trade. And the other cool thing about engineering, it allows you to craft some of the weapons that are some of my favorite in the game, which are the dex weapons, bow and spear, along with hatchet. I think it's hatchet. Musket. Hatchet is in the forge. So anyway, what we're going to do is make a few blunderbuss here. We've gathered enough raw materials here between refined leather, refined wood, and refined iron ingots to go ahead and fire off here and just craft some basic weapons. These are going to be very low level. And interesting now, the first time you craft something in a given day, you get a bonus of double XP for that first craft. So what we're going to do is craft 1 blunderbuss, 1 bow, 1 musket, and then we're going to craft a bunch of extra blunderbusses. Basically going to use up all the raw materials we have on hand. Now, might be a blunderbuss worth keeping, but we'll pick up a blunderbuss from a crate, probably no doubt, very soon. So we're just going to go ahead and salvage all these guys. We craft and then salvage. It returns some repair parts and some basic materials for us, in this case iron ingots. Sometimes enough that you can actually craft additional goods. So we've got 8 more we can craft now based on the materials that were returned to us. So we're going to go ahead and craft just 8 more blunderbuss. And any crafting activity is going to give you character XP. It's going to give you local town XP. And it's going to start grinding up your score in that trade. So we were 0 engineering. Now we are level 34. What I'd like to try to do is get high enough to start making some of my own higher level tools. The stuff that's lit up is stuff that you can currently make. If you scroll down, you can see all the list of things you can make when you achieve a higher level. So I want to get to where I can start making some of these higher level tools. But I will say the one thing I did purchase at the workshop in my session this afternoon was a few upgraded harvesting and gathering tools. Yeah, the brush, the comb, those do not exist. I got started a little later than I wanted, so my brain is a little sleepy. Let's look at our inventory really quick. We got rid of our cheap old starting flint tools, which only have really a buff to your gathering speed, no other cool perks. So we bought a steel harvesting sickle, a steel logging axe, and a steel mining pickaxe. So when we compare these guys, we not only went from just on the pickaxe from 215 as a gear score to 301, we went from a gathering speed of 200 to a gathering speed of 351, and we unlocked, well, we purchased mining efficiency, so we go at a faster rate when we're mining, and we extract Azoth sometimes based on RNG, 37% chance when we're harvesting any type of metal node in this case, or stone node. Azoth is what we use to fast travel, and Azoth is used in crafting. So if you have this Azoth extraction perk on your tools when you're gathering, you're always going to be putting Azoth into your bank account. Right now at the bottom we can see we have 442. That's from killing enemies where you get it as well, but you can really speed that rate of accumulating Azoth if you carry that perk, that Azoth extraction perk, on your gathering tools. All right. So that's housekeeping, folks. We just popped up to level 21, just doing some refining and some crafting, getting that main story quest turned in. And we're going to add our points from the level reward, and we're just going to keep adding right now to strength, dex, and constitution. Within about 5 levels, we're going to be qualified as we do the main story quest to start running our first expedition, just the terminology for a dungeon in New World. So that's pretty exciting too. That's called the Amrine Expedition. But we have to advance our main story quest a bit to get there. Okay, we have another buff we can take from a town perspective. As we accumulate town rep, territory rep, we can get buffs in that territory. So I could get a reduction in my crafting fee. So every time you refine or craft, you do get hit with a little bit of a tax. This is a tax reduction. Not going to worry about that yet. I'm going to keep pumping up standing gain and gathering speed, because time's money, right? Hey, boats. You did play? You did try it? Did you, it's 20 bucks. Did you wind up keeping it? Did you like it enough to trial it and keep it? The game is hopping right now. I mean, the towns are really full. If you start on one of the servers or create a character on the servers with one of the little sun symbols next to it, that's actually a Fresh Start server that is a brand new server. So you'll be playing with people who are not over leveled too far. Some of the people have been just basically no lifing and have already gotten to level 60 in what, 3 days or so. But you're not going to have people who are way outstripping you.
Miserable thieves.
Okay, this is Giacomo. He's just going to tell us he's basically a home builder and a furnisher. And he's going to give us a quest that will give us a box of furniture. Furniture is something that's a lot of people really dig in this game. When you purchase your homes in a territory, there's all kinds of furnishings. They keep adding more to the game. From the different regions, they all have different kind of vibes to them. And you can do the furniture crafting. So when you discover patterns out in the world for different furniture items, you can craft those items yourself and either put them in your houses or you can sell them. So you enjoyed it? Ended up grinding to 18? Addicting? Yeah, it's been addicting for me. Hey, Skipper, how are you? Good to see you. Long time no see. I'm not necessarily done with ships, but for now, I'm taking a break. I'm still kind of on an extended break. I played very little, but I'm going to try to mix in some Legend streams for sure with doing some New World. But this is kind of the new jam for me. It's been good to clear my headspace, not stress about whether my teammates are going to know what they're doing when I'm playing ships. So kind of control my destiny in this game for the most part, except when you play the 40 versus 40 PvP mode. Yeah, you're going to get steamrolled about a third of the time, just like in Warships. This is only PC. There's been a few rumors from time to time that it might come to console. And if it does, I would highly recommend it. It's just a fun, and as Boats is saying, addicting game. It's got a crafting element. It has a big PvE element of basically interacting with the environment and engaging in combat, engaging in harvesting of all kinds of raw materials that you can then refine and craft with to make weapons, to make armor, to make the furniture we were just talking about, to make trophies that you hang in your homes if you purchase them that give you buffs. Just like in Warships, you can customize your commander skills and your boat modules, your ship modules. This game gives you tons of ability to customize your weapon and armor perks and combinations and attribute combinations, similar to how ships work. So it's fun, and that really kind of carried over for me from game to game, that there was some familiarity, because I hadn't played an MMO RPG like this before. I just played a single player RPG, Skyrim, on console. But I decided to upgrade my system a bit last year when I started playing this, and then I just traded out for a better video card, and it's got enough guts in here. Even though my processor's a couple years old, it was top of the line back in the day. It's a bit of a dinosaur now, but still good enough to run a PC game at high res and to stream. So that's what I've been doing. Restricted to console for now. Hey, that's okay. I will say, like, I've been watching a lot of PC build channels just because I really enjoy that aspect of learning how to work on my computer, and it's a great time to build a PC if you've ever thought about doing it. You can, because we're in between generations right now of next gen hardware launching, you can get a lot of the last generation, which is really good stuff right now for insanely good prices, especially coming up on Black Friday. You can build a computer, desktop computer that could run this game easily, quite well, for probably $700. With the great sale on components right now, given where we stand between generations, straddling generations right now. Hey, Five Jumps, how are you? Good to see you. Yeah, going well. Stayed up too late the last 2 nights, and 2 out of 3 nights. Got started late tonight, so it might be a late one, probably later than I want it to be. Oh, let's harvest the turkey. I always feel bad. This is goofy, but I feel bad killing digital creatures and not using their resources. So I'm a little punchy. I'm drinking some coffee. Waking up, I had to uninstall and reinstall my audio software. So let me know if my mic isn't working or sounds like it's got reverb again tonight like it did on my first stream. But I think I've got it a little bit wrestled. Just took me about an hour to fix some computer stuff. Little sidetrack. This is an area rich in iron resources if it's not all farmed out. I use a little side map. Boats, I don't know if you have a second monitor. Otherwise, you can alt-tab back and forth between screens. But if you're familiar with Overwolf, that makes some kind of overlays for games, they make a live minimap. It's newworldminimap.com is the address. It's legal to use because it doesn't overlay the live resource map onto your actual browser. It puts it in a second window. So if you have a second monitor, you can run that interactive resource map, and someone's farming out these resources that I wanted right now. Oh, here's some. There's an iron. Iron's darker than the normal stone. But I highly recommend it. It's, oh cool, thanks on the mic. It's life-changing, this resource map. It tells you where all the stuff that you want to collect is. As you level up on our top, there's a compass there, and that compass, like if I look this direction, it's allowing me to track some stuff. I can see turkeys, I can see nuts on the ground. And you will be able to track higher tier resources on that heads-up compass as time goes on, but way easier to see stuff from further distances from anywhere on the map when you're using this Overwolf mini-map. So yeah, boats, check that out. Overwolf, newworldminimap.com. Skipper says, need a new computer. My wife has 3 at home for her job. Need one, but the dollars. I get it. I get it for sure. I waited a long time to upgrade my video card till the prices would be a little bit more, well, a lot more affordable. They were ridiculous because of mining, right? All the miners were buying up the GPUs. So, stupid miners. Nvidia inflating prices. Yeah, so the history of this game, it's been out for a year. It had 1 million copies sold in the first week or so that it was out. Came out to much ballyhoo, much hype. Here's some guys. PvP, no, that's PvE. I thought they might be PvPing down there. It had 1 million copies sold, and then AGS, Amazon Game Studios, was new. Pretty new to gaming. They'd only launched one game that I think had not had a very long run before they pulled it. Can't remember the name of it, to be honest. Just gonna accept some side quests here. And the population steadily declined as they had a bunch of bugs and dupes and people duplicating gold and items, and tons of people got pissed that Amazon, you know, this huge company, couldn't get it right. So they bailed. So population literally drained from maybe having at the highest point like 500,000 or 400,000 concurrent users down to, when I was playing it 4 or 5 months ago, like 12,000 people online this time at night. This week, well, the last 3 months, they've really hit their stride. They've been improving the game all along, but the last 3 months, a lot of people have started coming back and trying it again and seeing all the things that have been improved, making the game easier to play. And we got back up to like 75,000 concurrent users last night. I think it's around the same tonight at this time of night, which again is 5 times what it was just recently. So the game's having a big resurgence. Streamers are picking it back up again. I've been playing it all along, even when it had its population dip. So it's a super fun game, and I highly recommend it. And it's $20 on Steam right now, which is a great deal. Tax refund time for your PC. Yeah, not bad. But yeah, it's just a fun game. It's not completely sandbox, but you can do a lot of self-directed activity, which I like about it. One night I might just gather resources and chill. The sound in the world, like if you just turn the music off, is super immersive. When you're hammering stone, when you're chopping down trees, for some of us who are older and just appreciate the simpler things in life, there are a lot of amazing things about just the sound design and the world. The world to me is really nice looking, and the sound is insanely good. Depending on where you are, if you're on a mountaintop in a canyon, these boulder sounds will sound totally different and echo. The battle sounds with regard to the weapons all have unique sounds. The enemies, if you're inside or outside, in rain or in clear conditions, whether you're wearing a helmet or a leather hat, the sounds all sound different. It's pretty amazing and fantastic, the job they've done on a lot of the elements of the game. I'm just going to chop a few trees to get us to 50 logging, because then I'm going to be able to harvest those big fat trees that it just said I couldn't do. You need to get to different levels of harvesting and crafting to be able to access higher tier gatherables or things to craft. So 50 is the first barrier on logging. We can just gather bushes right now for a small amount of wood, or skinny, what are called young trees, until we hit 50. And now these thicker mature trees like this were locked, and now they're not. And because I bought these better gathering tools, the chopping goes much faster, and I have a chance of extracting special things. This guy's doing the new music. This is a big thing on a summer event that was really cool. They introduced a musical skill. Oh, he's going to be able to give me a buff. I don't have the music instruments yet. If you listen to a performance and then you use your TP, to tip them after they finish, you get a buff. So now for 1 hour, I get a buff to my territory experience. So I'll level faster here in Everfall. And then he gets 10 gold. So I went crazy on the musical trade skill when I first started playing the game, leveled it to 200, and had some nights where I had a bunch of drunk people listening to me play guitar solos, and I was making like 100 gold on every song I was playing. It was crazy. It was fun. Boats. Oh, thanks for saying that, Skip. I appreciate it. It's been fun. Been fun the last few nights, and again, I missed you guys. I missed being on. I just was really tired. There was a lot of life stuff going on. That's just a long story, and it just kind of wore me down, and I had too many things on my plate. For those of us who are older, there used to be Johnny Carson, who's one of the most famous variety show hosts, and I remember when I was a kid, we'd stay up late to watch Johnny Carson, and he used to have these guys who do this act that they'd have all these sticks with plates spinning on them. If you've seen it, it's like kind of like a circus act, Cirque du Soleil. They do it at some of the shows. And I just felt like I had way too many plates spinning and couldn't keep them all up. You have to keep spinning them on these sticks and run from one plate to the other. So that was kind of my life story over the last 11 months, but I'm feeling a lot more recharged now. Boats, you go running off to talk to someone for a quest, and next thing you know, you're gathering and harvesting for 2 hours. Yeah, I call it the squirrel effect. Like, oh, squirrel! And that's the guys that I played with first in this game, first company I was in. It's distracting but amazing. Like, I really enjoy the gathering part of it. So if I see a resource and I know it has value for me, and almost every resource you can either craft it or sell it. So I'm always, I mean, it would be boring if you guys just watched me chop trees for 90 minutes, but I could do it.
You have the air of one new to Aeternum, so
All right.
I pray the fires of hope still burn
Let's listen
within
to
your
what she
heart.
has to say.
I have taken on a daunting quest to bring aid to the needy, but I am the one now in need of assistance.
So this lady is a Covenant initiate. So tonight, I'm going to pop up just a little highlight screen here really quick. We are going to talk about factions. So when you reach level 17 in New World, you can join a faction. So it's quite an interesting element of the game. It's still got bugs that are being worked out because you know humans, right? If they can find an exploit in a system, they're going to find it, and they will not necessarily act in everyone's best interests. So there's some things that definitely need to be ironed out with factions, but you can go without joining a faction. But why would you join a faction? Well, you do experience the political intrigue of this game, and there are a lot of amazing things that happen from a backroom deals perspective with regard to territory control. Banter in chat of one faction versus another. What's a good faction? What isn't a good faction? We're not polarized in this country today, right? Well, you can be polarized in New World if you want to, too. There's not two parties, there's three. She's the Covenant. That's a yellow faction. They are very much what I would call religious zealots, trying to do good with respect to the theology they follow. So we kind of have the yellow group that is a religious-based faction. We have the purple group, which is the Syndicate, which is a science and exploration faction. And then we have the Marauders, the green faction, and they are the plunderers and the Marauders, the warriors. They are worried about their warrior and conquest prowess. So those are the three factions you choose from. It's really just a backstory, a headquarters, which is new, which we'll show, and a color. But basically, you're going to group with people from your faction to not just to experience the political intrigue, but the second point there is participate in PvP and territory control from an open world flagging perspective, which is basically when you leave town saying I'm flagged for PvP. Anyone else who's flagged from PvP from another faction can then attack you, and you can attack them and engage in 1v1 or 1v whatever or 2v whatever, or literally sometimes in some zones it's gotten up to like 100v100 combat in open regions, just as people say, hey, I'm getting attacked by yellow, I'm purple, come join, and yellow calls and says, I'm getting attacked by purple, come join. And it just gets out of hand with this huge open world PvP battle just out here in the landscape. Then there's other types of PvP that influence territory control. And that is the end game, called basically wars, which are 50v50, highly strategized, highly geared, and organized, basically fort assaults. We'll go back to our gameplay screen here and look at the map. Every territory has a settlement, and then it has a fort. Right now there's only one fort, but they're talking about putting multiple forts into a territory that can be taken. And right now you can see that this town is owned by a green clan, a green company, as they're called. It's not a guild in this game, it's a company. And if we filter here, turn on our faction influence, in fact, all the territories that can be owned in the game right now have been claimed by a faction. So green is Marauders, purple is Syndicate, and yellow is Covenant. It's pretty evenly distributed right now. But not only can you control the territory, you can also control the fort. So purple could come in and take over this fort, and the forts give bonuses. So right now this fort has a global Azos Salt bonus. Azos Salt is what you get in the open world when you kill people or take a fort in PvP mode when you're flagged. So you get a bonus to that if your faction controls this fort. So people fight over the forts, they fight over the territories through what are called wars, and then there's just open world PvP. And being in a faction allows you to engage in this PvP element that otherwise you can still do Outpost Rush or Arena 3 versus 3, which are pickup games of PvP, but you can't do open world PvP unless you're in a faction. 5 jumps, let me catch up on chat. 5 jumps, yeah, the simple and less meta-intensive things are nice. In Elden Ring, you can do a co-op building mode, focus on crafting. Yeah, I know my daughter would play, when she was afraid of the critters in Minecraft, she would just stick to the exploration mode, not do the scary mode with the zombies and the explodey guys who blow your stuff up. So that's cool. Yeah, and you can completely play this game as PvE and just be a crafter. Some people like to just craft and they support the people who do PvP in their companies, or they just craft and sell stuff on the open market, or craft and refine and sell raw materials. So you can play this as chill as you want or as competitive as you want. There's all the e-ping swinging in the global chat and just stupid, arguments that break out between people about who's the best PvPer for an hour and a half in global chat. You can filter your chat by channel. I use my camera to hide it, kind of for strategic advantage, and I don't really want stream ultimately to see the global chat going on, but I think I can. It's not turning my camera off for some reason, or is it? Oh, it did. It's just lagging on the stream that I'm watching. On the lower left of my screen now, you can see these chat channels, and there are different channels for the global chat, which just goes to everyone if you choose to subscribe to the channel. Area chats only chat locally around you. There's questions, there's recruitment, there's a trade, direct messaging. So anyway, in this chat, you can just talk amongst your faction as well, or your company mates, or you can broadcast your thoughts to the whole game. But there just gets to be ridiculous PvP-related convos in that global chat, just like other MMOs, I'm sure. 5 Gem said 2. Oh, style of PowerPoint. I did not use my PowerPoints last night when we were doing PvE combat, but just for me, it's nice to have an outline and try to actually have a plan when I'm doing a stream. And that's always been me. I like to be organized, but 5 Jump says name. Oh, sounds familiar, Skipper. Yeah, you guys have both been in my stream together for sure. Hey, General, good to see you. Yeah, factions. So we jump back to this highlight slide really quick. Just a couple other things. Some of the fast travel in the world costs money, or doesn't cost money. It costs a currency called Azot to hop between these fast travel points, city to city, or within these different fast travel points in the wilderness that we will unlock. the game used to be exorbitant. It used to cost you, if you had a lot of weight and you're going a long distance, it could cost you 700 Azoth, and you could only have 1,000 on your person to travel from point to point. A lot of people quit the game because of that. Now the most it can cost you to travel anywhere point to point is 20 Azoth. And it's pretty easy to gather if you have it on your gathering tools or you're killing enemies in the open world. That all gives you Azoth. But when your territories are owned by your faction members, it makes the travel free from a controlled territory to another controlled territory. So it used to be a much more valuable buff than it is now, but it's still valuable. Lastly, you get access to a faction vendor, and they have gear that you can buy that's related to your faction. It's PvP related gear mainly for armor, and then there's some decent weapons. They're not end-game quality, but they're good early and mid-game quality weapons and armor, and then there's some other goodies you can buy from the faction vendor that matter a lot in the end game, which we won't talk about for a while. So the way you join a faction now or explore the factions is to follow these side quests. So here's another town here that's fallen to the lost, the same zombie zombified townspeople that we saw in the last territory we were in, Monarch's Bluff.
I'm too shaken to go back.
So this is one survivor of this farm, and we're trying to find a relative, essentially.
Decades, nearly a century we worked this land, only to have it fall to the lost. Young Florina, I'll be safe enough right here until you get back.
So they want us to go in and investigate, see if there's any survivors, find lost family artifacts, in this case retrieve a keepsake and a locket. The keepsakes will come from supply caches, which are chests, and the locket will be taken back from a lost, and we're supposed to take down the town quest. So in the lore of the backstory of New World, the people that have settled here have all come by ship from different parts of the world. That's why you see people of different cultures. And there's a mysterious force that's been here much longer than any of the settlers that is starting to take root and take hold again. And that's causing the issues with these people changing form into zombies. And you can get a lot of that backstory in these notes. This is the only way you saw lore in the initial version of the game, is to read all these notes, and I just don't think enough people like to read these days. So a lot of people were missing the fact that there was lore and a story. All right, so we're just gonna try to do the faction chain quests, or quest chains tonight. And anything that's going to yield an objective for us is going to have an icon. So any enemies that have an icon, this little yellow dot over their heads, are going to help us achieve our goals. And any of the chests that have a number over them are going to do the same. And then there might be other things we have to interact with. These are crops. He's running to grab some potatoes. Could have gone and snagged that. Potatoes are used in cooking for foods that help you mine faster or get better luck to find special things while you're mining. Come back here, dude. So many people in game right now running around that we have to kind of compete for kills. When I started this game, it was not nearly this busy, so it's awesome to see. All right. Now this is one of the main characters in this area. It's actually the relative of the people who gave us this quest. Still learning to play New World and perform combat while streaming and talking about it, so we may be a little clunky until we get in the groove tonight. Took a little more work to get through because she's actually kind of a mini boss. Alright, there's an icon. This is the town banner when you take down the crest. And we need to grab a locket. So we open our map and we use the scroll wheel on our mouse to zoom in. It'll show us the area. This dotted line is the area in which all of our quest objectives are lying in this active area. And then it's looking like this direction is where the last item we need to retrieve is. So things were not this clear when the game first launched. You really had to just ferret things out. There was no quest markers on it, really anything. So you'd run around for hours going back into the same house you'd already been in multiple times. It didn't really direct you. Okay, get the locket back from the lost. So what I'm assuming is, I've done this specific quest for a while. There's a lost that will, by RNG, yield the locket that we want. It could be any of these guys. And ranged people. It's the advantage when it's crowded of having a ranged weapon is you can pull these mobs towards you. We just need to hit them once to get some credit and potentially get the drop we need. Still didn't get it. Matt, if you're still there on the YouTube side, things are going well. Everything is good with the family and our business and work, so I cannot complain. How about you? Hope everything's going for you on the upside as well. Generally, last time I was talking to you guys, it was a lot different world. Middle of COVID or end of COVID. A lot of crazy stuff going on. Hopefully that didn't affect you and your family too much, or not at all, hopefully. Yeah, thank you for asking. Lots of soccer. I'm not soccer coaching anymore. I'm just involved with going to watch my kids play, which is why I quit coaching, so I could watch my girls in their high school years actually interact with my own kids and enjoy my own kids instead of just being there for other kids as a coach. All right. Can we get a hit in on this? My greatsword's getting a little more power. Like it could just be any of these lost that might drop our item. It's just an RNG issue right now. Each of our weapons has 3 abilities. That's what's in those boxes in the lower right-hand part of the screen over here. The inactive bar is above, the active bar is below. When you see the ability, you can activate it, and then it goes on a cooldown timer. After that, I'm gonna try to hit with a few abilities. Dodge. They'll flash when they're going to perform their own mob special ability. So we kind of want to get in, get a few hits, dodge if necessary. Sometimes switch to our secondary weapon, depending on the strength of the enemy we're facing. Okay, well, he's finally got the drop. There's the locket. So if it says it's dropped by or recover from, it's going to get dropped by one of the mobs. It's just a matter of killing enough of them for RNG to tilt in your favor. So we've checked off everything on that list. So we can go back to one of these family members.
Well,
Hate to tell you, dude, but I think it's your daughter in there that's turned into a
here
corrupted.
you are, just as you promised. This means a lot.
Okay.
Covenant Initiate Florina returned to Oxborough, discouraged. Perhaps you should speak with her.
Okay. The Covenant emissary that we were just talking to is back in the city, it sounds like. So we're going to cruise to the city. Kind of going to ignore our side quests going on right now and focus on these faction quests. This world, yeah, the real world's a crazy place. This world's a little crazy. But you're absolutely right, General. It's been, gosh, it's an interesting time. Hey, naked musician. When music first came out, there was tons of naked people who would dance around you. They're wearing underwear, but naked enough, right? So we're not going to do as much resource gathering and stuff. We will pick up some side quests that potentially we can work on while we're doing other stuff here around town. I think this is the music quest chain.
Alas, I should have chosen a more if only my duty to my mistress did.
This guy wants to work for a better
I have
boss,
a guitar
essentially.
in my possession, but
So he's going to give us some side quests, which give us our first set of basic musical instruments. So let's ignore that. Let's pick up these other side quests first. If you get some lag in New World, it's generally most of the time in towns because there's so many people running around. Just puts a little more stress on the game. Or sometimes in the bigger PvP events as well. Or PvE events. When you get to higher tier, more elite areas, there's these chest runs where you go for higher tier materials, weapons, and armor drops. And sometimes there's like 100 people running around on those quests all together. It's pretty crazy. Massive, massive train of folks. Okay, we're just going to pick up lore pages. I'm not going to read them right now. Okay, where was that? Covenant Adjudicator. Are they in here? Or are they... Oh, wrong building. They're in the church, I think. My bad. This guy is just a quest giver to, or actually where you can join the first time into the 3v3 PvP arenas. Alright, here's the lady we were talking to about potentially joining the Covenant.
And I suppose you reclaimed the Olcott's Keep? The Covenant is an order of Templars sworn to battle on Aeternum to keep the spark of hope alive for all eternity. From what I've witnessed, you belong as one of us.
So these are recruiters, so the Covenant is essentially modeled kind of on the Templar Knights.
There is something...
And she wants us to visit the Covenant Enclave.
Undoubtedly worries for my welfare, so please reassure him. I committed to
something they introduced when they redesigned quests 1 through 25 in this new patch in the game. They built these really cool faction headquarters that didn't exist before. So kind of have a meeting area for your teams. There are no guild halls yet, which I know other games do have. But something that's been rumored that might come in the future as well. We're going to kind of hold off on the music questline tonight because that's its own thing. We're just going to keep working on these faction quests. Alright, so we've talked to the yellow faction. Now we've got Lieutenant Tibbs, who is the Marauder representative.
You look like one of them Marauder types. Like adventure? Maybe a bit of a scrap, eh? How about weapons and riches? Ah, that's the spirit. Northwest's a fort filled with unbelievable wonders. Need odd things to get inside. Magic, you see. Ears from the soulless lost. A ring from a knight. Grab that lot from Lugden.
Okay, that's an invite from the Greenies. From the Marauders. And actually, it looks like we got a drop. Yeah, we got an amulet drop. We're going to see 12 con. That's a decent upgrade over what we're running. So we're going to lock that. And if we look at our attributes screen, just through our character set, basically you'll see if you hover over a given attribute, it'll tell you that you've assigned 20 points through leveling, and then there's also the amount of buff you're getting from your equipment, and then there's consumables like food or other items that will buff your strength, your weapons, your armor. So you kind of get these different colors here that show you your assignment of power to these individual attributes. And then these dots are nodes where you start to get a special buff if you hit that level of attribute allocation. In this case, like for strength, you get a plus 10% to damage and melee physical attacks, and you get plus 10% to mining speed. And then there's more powerful ones as you go along the line. So again, it's a big factor later in the game with regard to your character builds, how you allocate your attributes. Okay. That is the Marauder. So second element of the Marauder quest is out here in town, and we're gonna go talk to Purple next. We'll get all three started, and then we'll finish each little quest chain. And you can do these initial quest chains, I think the first 3 steps or so of them, without having to commit to joining. So you can reap some rewards and then decide, once you've visited all 3 faction headquarters, which of the 3 factions you want to join. And if we make that decision tonight, we'll be able to actually visit the faction vendor and show you some of the stuff that we can get from the faction vendor once we do pick a color, pick a side. Pick from 3 sides, not 2 sides. All right.
Please come.
He's a little more mystical, scientific
Well
looking.
equipped, and the Syndicate could pay you for your time. I see that you are new to the island. Aid me, and perhaps I can shine some light on the darkness. Yes, and the most valuable kind, indeed, if you assist. You see, I've been testing alchemical lures on the local wolves. Results were promising. Well, expected their possibility, but not the precise nature of the reaction.
Okay.
We must.
The green is the warriors, the yellow is the Templars, and the purple is the seekers of knowledge, in essence. So, and the scientists. So since we're here and we're closest to Faction 1's quest, we're just going to go ahead and visit this close area right here first. We'll go purple first and circle back. So I can use right click actually to drop a pin as well, just to make sure I'm going to the right spot. We can whack a few wolves while we're going through here. Spear actually gets a bonus. Different weapons have different bonuses against different enemy types. Any of the creatures are the beasts category, and the type of damage that a spear produces is gets a bonus damage against animals. So works really well against wolves, bears, alligators. Though alligators are armored, so some of the heavier weapons like my greatsword, warhammer, work really well against alligators to break through their armor. They're a little harder to damage than these guys that just have skin. You see that little red patch up here on an enemy? It's because spear has a bleed effect to it, a duration of time damage effect. Yeah, 5 gems. There's a lot of well, basically every weapon has pros and cons. It used to be pros and cons, like certain enemy classes you'd get a negative impact, and then others you'd get a positive and some no effect. They took away the negative effect, but you still have every weapon that has a certain enemy class that it's now going to still have its buff against. So it really influences the late game PvE, which we'll talk about as time goes on. This is like a pop-up quest. You can't really get it to work when you're higher level, so you can do it here when you're low level. Oh, he's got a crappy pick. We upgraded our pick. He's level 20. He should be buying a better pick. I could let that wolf attack him, and then I could grab that node. I won't be a dick. Like, I could start mining this right now and take it from him. But I'll be nice. We are going to grab these supply stockpiles. I'm going to let him be busy, though, while I go get this one. More wolves. Ah, more wolves keep running in. Whenever someone comes in, they've run through the wolves and dragged the trash with them, essentially. There's a lot of these little wolf caves, especially in the lower starter regions. They all have a chest and some resources. So you see, he's using like a one-handed, takes him forever, chop, 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 and we have a two-handed pick now that has, it has a speed bonus on it as well. Again, he's using this guy that has a 200% gather speed buff. Yeah, and we've upgraded to a 350% gathering speed with some extra perks on it too. So once you hit around level 18 or 20, make sure you go to the trading post and upgrade your weapons. Not your weapons, upgrade your gathering tools. We still need a knife. What does it need us to do? Cull the alpha wolf and pack. I thought we did that. It didn't give us credit, so maybe we didn't get enough damage. So I guess we gotta go back in. Or that other quest superseded it, that pop-up quest. So we'll have to go back in and wait for the alpha wolf again, I guess. We'll just do some skinning right now. Get some weapon XP. I think it spawns in here. Yeah, it should spawn inside here. Oh, we have to lure. Maybe I didn't set the lure. The other guy did. That's probably why. Yeah, I have to activate the lure myself, most likely. Now we're going to cycle weapons, because we're going to get multiple guys coming at us. We'll go to Greatsword against multiple enemies. Got a much broader swath. Damage multiple enemies at once, or use this defensive skill that every time they hit my magic shield there, it blasts back at them with increasing power level. This is just kind of a little wave challenge. There's the alpha. Okay. With the quest marker. If you kill an alpha wolf, the wolves that spawn with it actually die. So you just have to kill the alpha wolf. If you're getting attacked by their ads, just go for the alpha wolf and you'll be good. Okay. Purple quest now takes us over here. We're going to go this route. We're going to grab this fast travel while we're running over here. Right now they're silver. As soon as we kind of activate them, they'll turn yellow gold. Originally, you could not look at your character menus or your inventory while you were running. And that's a big change they made, which is a huge quality of life benefit. So you can actually tab in, delete weapons you don't want, salvage them, salvage trashy armor and stuff while you're running. Here's a furniture pattern. We're going to learn that. Maple large bookcase. And again, we want to go up to this fast travel, so let's follow that pin. We get a little closer to the fast travel points, they'll show up on the compass. those pins will show up from anywhere, so when you're further away from stuff, it's really helpful to use the pins. Or if you're in a group and you want to tell your group mates where you're going, you can use the pins. And I think there's who was saying it earlier? It's boats, I think. So as you run around, you're going to run by all this stuff, and I have a hard time leaving any of it sitting alone. I have to go grab it. Because it's leveling us up. Like, harvesting's at 41. We want to be at 50. Because 50 allows us to start harvesting some higher level stuff. And 100's even better. Same with 50 stone and 100 stone. Or 100 mining. Have some main characters at higher levels, when I have to run by these resources that are really cool resources and I can't grab them because I'm too low a level, it makes me sad. All right. Our fast travel spirit shrines, as they're called, have this big beam that sticks up so we can see them. I'm gonna grab these motes. Motes are raw materials for magical items, for weapons, for armor crafting, for jewel crafting. So one of the awesome things that I did was get to 50 harvesting earlier, or 30 harvesting earlier, so I can grab motes. I always grab storage when I can. Always increase my storage capacity when I can. Let's go this way. Gonna try not to get so sidetracked so we can get these quests done. Usually I'll run through all these areas and kill a bunch of mobs and do some weapon XP. Well, we can do one. I mean, he's right there. So we've seen a lot of Lost, and they are one kind of zombie in this game, and then the others are called Corrupted. Now, the Corrupted and the Lost are not completely out of it like zombies on our normal TV shows. They do have some echoes of consciousness. The Corrupted a lot more so than the Lost. The Lost can remember who they are, so to speak, and have memory, even though it's not perfect. The Corrupted are actually organized. They're an organized force. So they've been imbued with this negative energy, this red energy. And they're controlled by it, but think of it as the dark side of the force, essentially. I'm old, so you get lots of Star Wars references here. And they are a much more organized and menacing force versus the Lost, which just kind of hang around the areas that they either lived or worked. So they're kind of tied to that area by memory and don't wander so much. The Corrupted are actually organizing to try to control larger swaths of the island of Aeternum. That voiceover we hear from the disembodied lady's voice is Isabella, who is one of the lead organizers of the Corrupted. Wrong direction. Wrong way, Clyde. Okay, so just make a right turn. I mentioned it last stream. If you're on a road, you get this little boot icon, which means you're running at a 15% boost. Oop, ran by the road. Side road, describing the road buff. Once you leave any of the smooth surfaces, then you'll slow down to what's the base speed. So there's no mounts yet in this game. They will offer mounts at some point in the relatively near future. I don't really mind running around because there's so many fast travel points. And there are a few weapons that have skills that help you have haste, which speeds up your character. But alas, there will be mounts added to the game at some point in the relatively near future. Okay. This is one of the more head syndicate guys.
Thank you for helping to resolve those unexpected consequences.
He's the one who gave us the wolf quest.
Important work here. Studying Azos applications. but it is not without risks.
Azoth, this blue magical elixir that helps us fast travel,
Introduce yourself to Cleo.
helps us craft, and also has other magical properties. It's one of the animating forces of the island. Cleo's up here. So this is the Syndicate hideout, guys. This did not exist until this most recent patch. It was in the public test realm, testing out for about 90 days before, but it is freaking awesome. It's got this cool crystal formation. It has a fast travel point inside of it. It's got a library. It's got like alchemy areas, actually alchemy stations inside. None of this existed. It's got some exhibits of different magical herbs and stuff that you can harvest throughout Aeternum. Right in here. So cool. Kind of like the Bat Cave. This one reminds me of the Bat Cave.
His enthusiasm for research is admirable, but it creates complications from time to time. He must make friends regularly. The Syndicate values those who help him uncomplicate his results. The Syndicate, scholars, arcanists, inventors, explorers of every kind. This land suits the intellectually curious. Those who can handle a measure of danger, doubly so.
Yeah, 5 jumps. I mean, they've got these two kinds of, well, more like a traditional zombie than these controlled, dark side controlled forces as well. So the 3 factions have conflict with one another to control territory, but then there are common foes, right? So it's kind of like 2 axes of story arc going on at one time, which makes it kind of interesting. And if you look at these guys, we're all in here with a bunch of people, and some of those people have no markers over their head. They are not in a faction. And then this guy here, he's got a green icon over his head. And if it has something like a hand or an eye or an animal, that means he's actually in a company as well. And we can talk about companies, whether it's worth it to join a company. It's a guild in World of Warcraft or some other MMOs.
Return to experimenting and trying anew. A different formula.
We like his pad.
If you join us in the Syndicate, they will be yours to use. Should you be interested, I would like Azoth, the mysterious element that runs deep in this land. It is like nothing I ever experienced.
Many applications, but potentially dangerous is Azoth.
Danger. Take this bottle, mind the cliffs, follow the path into Brightwood, go through the grove, consider that part of your test. You will know it when you see it.
Okay, he wants us to take a vial of Azoth and deliver it to this area near what's called the Azoth tree. Very Avatar-esque, which is kind of apropos because we're heading into a pretty soon release of the new Avatar movie, right? I know some people like Avatar, some don't. I actually thought it was pretty good. Kind of excited to see what the new one looks like, if nothing else, from a visual effects perspective, because James Cameron is so crazy about visuals. Okay. Got some side quests. Let's just go grab this. I mean, we're here. Why not? Probably a quest giver hanging out. Okay, there he is. His icon's lit up. You want to run in that general direction and the icon will light up when we're close enough. Lots of critters. A level 23 wolf, too. He's actually higher than our level. Because I didn't run a bunch of side quests and more of the main story quests before we came here, we're going to be battling mobs that are pretty much at our level. We're even above it right now. Which is okay. Have to be careful in managing our health and engagements here. The white cloth wearing top zombies are more your melee zombies. And then these vomit guys are your ranged zombies. I typically try to take out the ranged guys first in PvE. but in this case, we can get him before he can throw too many things at us while we're killing his melee buddy. Okay, there's a recipe here. Looks like a reward is to get an alchemy crate, which might have some useful potions. Talking about herb fields and farmsteads. These lower regions have a lot of farms where you can get reagent components for arcane compositions or food. So while we're here, we're going to collect 8 alchemy bottles. It has been said by you guys in chat, you get distracted, and like this game is like, I can't help myself. Just one quick side quest. Like you said, 2 hours later, both. It's like, these guys are relatively tough compared to our level right now. To be smart, not just try to stand toe-to-toe and whale damage, but do some dodging. In this case, we're taking out the ranged vomity guy first. Okay, he's the only one inside. Oh, he's got a friend. We got 2 friends. They chose not to attack me, unfortunately. They attack me again when that magical shield is up, then it dishes damage back to them. It's kind of proportional to the amount of damage that's taken by the shield and held absorbed by the shield. Iron Hook, it's a craft mod to imbue a specific quality or attribute to a crafted item, like a piece of armor or a weapon. These guys might be a little tougher to kill, but the great part of it is that we get more experience from a weapons perspective and a character perspective killing these higher level guys. So, squirrel, gotta get the soul sprout. Let's give you soul motes. There's soul motes, earth motes, fire motes, water motes. Lots of different kinds of motes. I think about 6 kinds. Greatsword brings the pain on these unarmored critters and zombies. Grab another one of these. Soul motes are one of the harder ones to collect. They're just not everywhere, so when you see them, it's not a bad idea to try to grab them. And I'm gonna just get this chest while I'm here too. Spear's pretty damn good for single target damage. We're just not high enough level to be able to take down a guy like that super quick. As Spear is leveled up, I could easily dispatch him in 1 or 2 pokes. But we have low level weapon with a low level amount of skills right now. Okay, was that it for that? Okay, that looks like it for that side quest. Let's go back to our faction quest. Oh, we can talk to someone on the way. Turn in this quest on the way. Squirrel, herbs. If I hold down right mouse button, it's going to be a heavy attack. A quick click is going to be a light attack. Faster swing, but less damage dealt and less likely to break through armor or a shield. These guys are not shielded, so you can just use light attacks. Alright. That's how you get distracted in New World. Exhibit A.
What's that you've got? Superiore de inferioribus.
So another syndicate member.
I would not expect the casual observer to recognize the import of Hugo of Santala's writings.
So we got an alchemy cache for that, which
This potion
basically set of potions. Sorry, I had to click out of that because got a wolf here. When we're lower level like this, it's easy for these enemies to stagger us and break our attacks. There's some weapons that have something called grit, which makes you unblockable and unstaggerable, but at the low level that we're at, we're going to get staggered quite a bit. Okay, we've taken some standing gain boost slash buff. We're going to take a little bit of gathering buff. Hey, ya boy. Burnt my shake. Hey, thanks for stopping by. Lost Ark when? I tried Lost Ark, honestly. I personally enjoyed it up till I think about level 40, level 50. I can't remember what max level in Lost Ark is. Just was not my favorite. It had so much going on. And then I started investigating a little bit more about Endgame, and it seemed like it was a lot more pay to win than New World. So some of the company that I was running with when Lost Ark came out all moved over there. But I stayed with New World. I did some Lost Ark, but mainly kept playing New World. Do you like Lost Ark? Is that what your jam is? Oh shoot. Okay. We may die here. If he has a skull on his head, it means we're way under leveled to deal with him. Yeah, see, one arrow strike. And we're not too happy. Eat some food. I'm gonna run and break off this engagement if I can without getting killed. Run, run, run! Alright, we may not be able to do the last stage because of our level. So we just have to, we probably could try to sneak in and grab this if we go around the other side. But essentially, we've seen 2 of the 3 quests here and able to see the actual hideout for that faction. So let's just get to that point for each of the 3. Yeah, boy, good morning. We'll be staying up late, waking up early to watch Chelsea Arsenal Derby game. I am not probably going to get up at 5 a.m. My daughter is going to get up at 5 a.m. though to watch. Actually, a big game for an American coach and some American players today with Leeds and that big comeback versus Bournemouth. That was pretty amazing. Okay, so we'll go to the quest level where we get to see each of the hideouts. Again, if you see that red skull on top of your enemy, you're in over your head. If we had other people coming into that area and running with us, we could probably progress through that without a problem. But by ourselves is going to be tough. We just have to deal too much damage. And they're grouped. Those dryads, that's what we saw in that area. They're angry earth dryads. It's another race of critters that lives on this island. In fact, it's one of the original denizens of this island. We learn more about them as we proceed. But they work in pairs. So we have to be able to take out those archer guys first and then get to the sword bearing guys who are armored and carry a shield. So it's hard to take on a pair of those if they're way over your level. They're going to mess you up. Okay. We grab this fast travel so we can cut down our travel time to get over to these other quests. So, faction for Marauders. Faction quest for Marauders. Put that on the map. Oh, and we want to pin the Covenant quest too. Whoops. So where are they at? Marauder quest is here. Let's go do that. Oh, Covenant quest is probably back in town. So let's hop over here. We're going to use 10 Azoth to do this little hop. That's okay. You don't have to complete all these quests for each faction before you join one. I think we're pretty much to the point where if I ran in and joined the Syndicate with the guy inside the lair right now, we'd be ready to go. So again, these are kind of optional to complete the entire quest chain for each faction, but they will give you some decent experience. Okay, so let's maybe just cruise. Yeah, we're gonna cruise over here to the Marauder quest and just try to dial in where Covenant is. Gets a little further south, over by where the main story quest takes us. Here it is. Yep, down here. It's New World Cardio. We'll head up here and grab some of these shock bulbs. They give us air motes, I think. Yep. Sorry, bunny. You can get a specialty kind of meat from rabbits called Sumptuous Rabbit, which is really good for crafting high-tiered food items. Or you can sell Sumptuous Rabbit for usually quite a good price on the market. But it's RNG based, so you can kill about 40 rabbits. You might get one or two drops. So yeah, not going to be able to make it probably at 5 a.m. I'll get about 2 to 3 hours of sleep. But we have Peacock, the streaming service. Again, my older daughter loves watching. We were watching La Liga today, as well as Premier League, so thankfully I can just watch on the replay. Sheep will give us rawhide and some red meat, food, and leather crafting materials. Be a guy that'll give out a quest later. You'll run by a lot of NPCs that don't have a symbol over them that you can get a quest, and usually they're just going to grant you something later on. Your sport for the day is Newcastle versus Southampton, 2 p.m. your time. About to go out soon to hit the links and play some really bad golf. I know you're a golfer. You've been playing on a regular basis. Okay, oh, we got a signet ring already on this quest. We've already hit the edge of it. Okay. Zoom in here. I used to golf pretty regularly. I was a club member at one point back in the day. And when we moved to a new state, I just didn't have as much time to invest in it when we were just trying to start our business. We had young kids, given the time commitment of golf. So I haven't really gotten back into it for quite a while. Then we have something called the Top Golf coming here to Boise, which is basically interactive driving range. It's a real driving range, but it, I think, has cameras that read the speed, direction, spin of your ball. So you play virtual golf. So that's going to be pretty fun. It's pricey, but you have your built-in bar and restaurant. TV monitors. There's like 3 levels. It's pretty cool. Oh, you were a cricket player too? I was a baseball player. I watch cricket sometimes. Again, these streaming services, it's kind of cool. You have all kinds of sports you can watch. I had Indian neighbors in my old town that I moved from in California, and they used to have a bunch of family members over, and they'd play cricket in their backyard, so it was pretty fun to watch them. Got another one in here. Okay, they have a shield, so they're gonna block some of our spear attacks. We got a zombie. Lost ear. That's a spicy thing to collect. Zombie ears. Is there a chest in there that I missed? Ah, there's an upstairs. If you hear that little scratching sound, you know someone's opening something. There we go. And that's a bigger chest. There might be some decent stuff in there. Void gauntlet, but we're in a low tier area, so we're not going to get very good weapons that are going to last us for too long out of these spots. Lots of people running around again tonight. Great for the game. It's a brand new Fresh Start server. No one can transfer into it. You can only start a brand new character on it. All the wealth, politics, resources, economy, all created within this server, Server Yonas. Character we're actually about to meet pretty soon. Alright. Love the sound of the greatsword. Chunky. Cricket is your #1 sport. Played for nearly 25 years. Wow, body told me it's time to move away from it. I played soccer, you know, your football for a long time. And then I decided that my knees were worth probably stopping. That's awesome though. It's cool you stayed involved that long. All right. Not sure. Okay. It's telling us Quest 3. Quest 2 is Marauder. Quest 3 is Covenant. So we need to come back up here now. It used to be with all the quest structure, you'd have to go out and then come back to the same spot. Out and back, out and back. And now they've made it where the quests move along with you. And this is the Marauder Enclave. So cool. Get to see the Marauder Fort. This is Team Green's fort.
Oh, that looks like a bag of ears to me. You can leave that there. Now, show us the ring. Oh, well done. You've got a strong stomach and bravado. Oh, that looks like a bag of ears to me.
Alright, so I guess that was kind of the entry fee. We had to bring the bag of ears. Which for the warrior faction makes sense. It's cool they've got this sparring arena.
Tip spoke of you.
She's a large gladiator.
But fearless. He has a unique notion of what constitutes honor. But he's a sharp fighter, keeps his enemies off guard. Individual freedom is as important to a marauder as honor and glory. We marauders are a band of warriors united, seeking glory and honor in battle. If you have the spine to stand with us, we may help you to know yourself.
All right. Glory, honor, individual freedom. That's what the Marauders are about.
Don't give me that look. This place is full of wonders. Look at me looking at you, huh? The Marauders are my kind of soldiers, see? Family now. And I think you should join our crew. Now, don't be like that. Had to put you to a little test, didn't I? Or Strudaya would chew you up and... Look, I like you, mate. And I know what Strudaya has cooking for the new recruit. Oh, no. Though it is lost again. Pirates round here, always a pain in our side. Tracked some of them down yesterday.
Okay. Got a level, so we can buff some attributes. So you play a full 18 every time you go out, you boy? So the Marauders hangout is much more of an open air fort. Some armoring and weapon smithing areas. Arena also has its own fast travel point, which we've now unlocked. Okay. So they're directing us up here. That says level 19. Wonder if we just went around the wrong way. It says level 19 as well. So if we don't go this main gate, we may be able to sneak the back way here on the Syndicate quest. But we'll do the Covenant quest. And we've got to run down here. We have that fast travel? Awesome, we do. We have that from the other night. So we can travel all the way down to where the Covenant quest is. Once we kind of decide which faction we want to join, we'll go ahead and complete that last quest. And I think completing that last quest gives us the opportunity to join the faction. 18 this time of year during the summer. I'll always try for 36. Wow. Of course, you remember it has a full 18 courses. It has full 18 courses, so it's nice to have that changed. That's cool. How many are there? How many do they have? I guess 2 or 3. I only had one course at the club I was at. It wasn't especially long, but it was definitely pretty tight. And a lot of two-stroke full out-of-bounds penalty areas. Okay, this is the Covenant Shrine. Just need to go up the hill, I think. Okay, yeah, this is the Covenant Enclave here, or HQ. And we already did kind of the introductory Covenant quest. That farm, the folks, the lost folks.
Please, good visitor, tell me, have you come from Oxmoral? That's an immense relief to hear. It is inspiring to watch new initiates face the trials of joining the Covenant. But
2 full
it's one's
18s.
younger sister. It is impossible not to feel some apprehension. If you have come with hopeful dreams of enlisting with the Covenant yourself, it's only fair you know what you're getting into. A wraith stalks the lands, and some initiates gave in to fear and are now in even greater peril. Their cowardice has very likely led them to a dark fate, though it is neither surprising nor unjust. Now there's courage. I should warn you, however, Lumen Morales believes the initiates.
Okay, so we have basically a graveyard we have to visit and potentially clear to do this next level quest for these guys. And that's going to be up here. So check this joint out. Again, they are Templars, so they have a really ornate church. If you could listen to them speaking, you have echo effect whenever you're in these large stone halls, which is really cool. When you get your musical instruments, if you play them inside any of the church areas, it's acoustically amazing. Kind of like singing in the shower. Some cool reverb. They actually have some pretty high-level musicians who've done the scoring for New World, guys from Game of Thrones, and this classical guitarist who does all kinds of classical guitar pieces from video games on YouTube. did some compositions for the musical instruments, so quite cool. All right. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I've stayed with the purple faction on my other two characters, and I think I'm going to be purple again. It's just kind of who I am. I'm a scientist by training, by my original work. So I think we're going to stick with the Syndicate. It also has the best headquarters. Syndicate headquarters is by far the coolest to me. So let's go back to the Syndicate Enclave, and we got to find a way to sneak in to do this quest without aggroing these guys that are way over our pay grade. We did get one additional level, but I think we're still going to be really under-leveled versus these guys. So we'll either have to find a way to sneak in, or we'll have to just go back and do a little bit more main quest and come back and do this last piece of the Syndicate quest. So we went around to the left last time. We're going to try going around the other way. Think go up here. If we draw a weapon and hold down the right mouse button, it allows us to grab onto stuff and climb some of these surfaces that look like they're pretty steep. If it's a small surface, you're just going to use your spacebar and hop. Brightwood's a territory that is a little over-leveled for us right now. If you look at the number range underneath any of the territory titles, that tells you what general range you're operating in. And Brightwood is at 26 to 35, and we're level 22. So that's why when we saw those dryads on the other side, we were definitely getting a bit in over our heads. We have to go. Okay, we have to go maybe down the other side of this mountain. So let's see if we can climb this. It's the best way over here. Looks like there's a stairwell. This is all new. This wasn't here before. These white splotches are going to be kind of the solution to our jumping puzzle when we don't know exactly where to go. This all came with the 1 to 25 quest revision and creating these enclaves for the different factions. So I can see the white splotches will have a jumping puzzle to get back up. This is the Azoth tree. It just reminds me of that Awa, the mother tree in Avatar to a big degree. Uh-oh. Shit. Okay, this guy's at 31. He's not as high a level as the other two were. He's not armored. So a little easier for us to manage. Got one other adventure coming down here. This is where some company would not be bad. Double up on these guys. Dropped a photo 3 weeks ago. A few of the fallen leaves off though. This is hole number 1. Cool. I'm not logged into Discord right now, boy, but I'll definitely check that out. Thanks for leaving that. Okay. Is that all we had to do? Alright, I guess we just need to retrieve those items, any of those items. Yeah, I do miss golfing. It's just, for me, it's a time commitment thing. So as I get more free time back, which I've been doing, it'd be nice to get back into that, as well as more skiing. I do like to snow ski a lot as well. All right, so they kind of make you dip your toe into a region that's over your level to get your faction quests done, which is kind of cool. And then there's a quick way back. All right, his arrow's gone a solid green.
Now you've seen the Azoth tree. It was truly beautiful, no? Well, oh, I hoped you would see its true beauty. Now, if I may have the infused water? Here is your payment.
So at this point, he's basically ready to accept us into the faction. If we had done the next level faction for the other two factions, we could have then gotten an invite from them as well. At this point, if you're ready to join, pretty sure we are, we can go ahead and accept this last quest.
Go to her and keep an open mind.
Which I think is just basically talking to these NPCs.
A moment, if you please. Thank you for speaking with me. Aventus has had much to say about you. Our order eagerly accepts the impermanence of death presents a peculiar conundrum when dealing with our adversaries. Let me ask you, how do you kill that which has no life? Well, we of the Syndicate aim to solve. Indeed. This is an Azoth-infused sleeping draught, with which I hope to subdue
we
our
may have one
immortal
more
foes.
quest.
Pour it into the wells at Broken Hull Hold, and destroy their reserves. Those who sleep do not fight. If they do not fight, they do not die. Those who do not die do not resurrect.
Everything resurrects on Aeternum over and over when it dies.
We are going to turn that metaphor into reality.
I guess we have one more quest. Thought that might be it. That's the green initiation quest. Go to our journal. Let's see. Faction initiation quest. Let's view it in the map. Okay. It's just south of here in this area. We can grab this fast travel while we're there. Kind of kill two birds with one stone. So, yeah, boy, are you able to walk your courses, or do you guys... I imagine you do more walking on the courses there. My friends would always want to ride. I liked to walk, actually. Yeah, the wolf on the way. Cycle from one weapon to the next from an ability perspective. All these critters we're meeting are still kind of over our level. And here's the cluster of quests with number 1, which is what we want, Syndicate Initiation. So each territory typically has a mix of enemies in it, or enemy types. So Everfall has Corrupted, it has Lost, in both Farmers, Lost Farmers, and Lost Pirates. It's the two kinds of Lost you'll run into. Lost with the shield, but when I want to use heavier attacks. Or a greatsword. Ping is a break of the shield. Guys that just have a club and no shield are going to be easier to take down with our spear with quick DPS. Okay, where is our objectives around here? close. We gotta go further south. These guys are just the appetizer, it looks like. Good from a weapon leveling perspective to hit some of these guys up. So we're getting 29 great sword mastery, which is a lot higher than we were getting against weaker areas where the enemies are like level 10. One of them you don't mind walking, the other's a bit more hilly and nice to use a buggy on it. But of course I removed the buggy with the wet ground starting. Yeah, that makes sense for you guys. We'd be restricted to the cart path. We call them a cart, but... And if it was soft conditions, you'd just be asked to stay on the cart path for the majority of the round. These guys are more our size, they're level 20. A little over halfway to getting to the next great sword level. Let's grab. A lot of times we can just grab these side quests while we're doing the other stuff, and they'll be in the same area, so we can get 2 sources of experience going at once.
Leave me be. I would.
He's a mead broker.
Dear Hope's cruel on Aeternum, stranger. If you don't learn that now, you will soon.
Travel to Riverworn Grotto. Okay, he's got a quest in the area we were just at. So definitely going to be questing around this region for quite a while, so grab all these side quests. We may not do them right now, but we'll have them lit up so we can get them next session or 2. 8 water skins. Be carried by the enemies here. Chop, chop. Oh, we need to break those as well. Okay. Basically raiding their supplies. For the drought in the well. We're going to poison the well with the sleeping potion. Sometimes it's a weapon attack, sometimes it's just using your EP to perform these different actions. Oops. 1 more to break. And 5 more enemies to take care of. So we can go further south here too. Most of these questing areas, the respawns take place pretty quickly. Unless it's a boss, it might take a little more time. But your quest tracker will let you know how many you have left to take care of. Just switching cycling weapons. Trying to get experience on both spear and greatsword. Have them leveled up to go on our first dungeon run, which won't be long. 2 more. Our weight is getting almost full, so let's look at our inventory and drop some stuff. So all these green, uncommon, and gray-black common items we're going to get rid of that we won't use. I'm going to salvage them so we get a little bit of gold and some repair parts, which help repair the gear that degrades. You can see these lines on our gear. Every once in a while we have to repair. Costs a little coin and costs repair parts. About this hat. That's a Dex Int hat. I don't really want that. Oh, we don't have our ring equipped. Duh. That's going to give us a 12 con boost. That's nice. Anything else? Gloves with Beast Ward. A little bit better than what we've got. Ugh, they put us into heavy armor though. We want to be able to hop and evade a little better. If you go over 23, you wind up in heavy. I'm going to show you the difference. Now our dodge looks like that. It's just a step. I like to be able to move greater distance when I hop. And that's the medium hop. The light armor is actually a bigger distance that you move and you roll away. So a lot of PvPers play light armor and are constantly hopping out of your way and rolling around. And it's hard to kill them because they're so evasive. Alright. Shouldn't drop anything. Need one more water skin. I need to head back this way a little. Nope, other way. Back this way. There we go. There's our last water skin. Pour the draught in the southern well. Okay, I know we did one well. Oops, southern well is going to be back this direction. Believe we did the northern well. Where is the well up here? Oops, it is this way. Okay, it's up here. Up and to the left. Keep working on weapon experience here. Spear's now over halfway the next level too. Here's our well. Get in these enclosed areas and they tend to have more mobs that get drawn and aggro. Okay, I guess this is all part of that one questing area. Alright. Now we need to return to the Syndicate Enclave. Always take storage when we can. You know what? We're going to grab this fast travel while we're here. Then if we want to come back and do the side quests in this area, it's going to be easy for us to zip back over. A little pool of corruption here. This is like one of the feral corruption entities. these areas of corruption that seep out of the island. You can see a corruption resistance marker here. There's actually a negative health effect of just standing in these areas. So when that corruption resistance completely depletes, then you start to lose some health.
20 coin. Only 20 coin. Shh! Not so loud. Are you trying? I'll let you in on how I brew the elixir. You can see for yourself.
All right, this is a snake oil salesman.
Fresh liver. Come now.
He needs us to basically harvest some animal parts, but we're gonna leave that for a time. We can come back here and just do some leveling. Let's go finish off our syndicate activity. Hey, weirdwood, blue trees, next level tree. But we're not high enough level to chop these. We have to be logging skill 100. We combine the blue wood with the wood from the regular trees to craft higher quality inputs for weapons and armor. Actually, let's just go back to the portal here real quick. I don't think we checked into the inn in Everfall to set our reset or our recall point there. Should probably do that at some point so we can recall back to here. Okay, we can go straight to the Syndicate Enclave by fast travel. Pretty cool. So maybe we'll turn this in, join the Syndicate, and then go and visit Yonas on the main story quest line.
Syndicate. I will show you so much more.
Basically, Isabella is saying, don't join a faction, join me and the corrupted, give in to the corruption.
You are truly committed to the application of knowledge, and not just its pursuit. As do I. If I am not, we will simply try something else. Should you wish, we would be honored to have you join our ranks. Speak to Astrid when you're ready. She can begin your initiation. The Syndicate is an eclectic group. The Syndicate
Got a
is an
musket.
eclectic group. One that would be honored. Now that is some joyous news. Your letters of recommendation have already been furnished. Go to Scrivener's House.
So you can go to this level for all three factions to where you're ready to accept the invite. So you can do this quest chain basically 3 times from an XP perspective. And even after we join up here, we could still go back and do those other quests. There is a cooldown on changing factions. I think it's a 60-day cooldown, something like that. So if you want to switch, you can't do that on a daily basis. You have to wait a certain number of days. Where is this next person? No, she's not here. She's up top.
Aventus came over here 6 times to tell me about you and the wolves. 6 times. I only needed the letter from Cleo. Should you wish to join us, it is but a pen stroke away.
Syndicate's color is purple and leather armor is purple influenced. If you want more information on factions, you can look at this panel as well. I kind of did that in the overview that I showed you earlier, but again, now we're able to toggle for flagging for PvP when we're in the open world, so we can engage in open world PvP. We can try to cap forts. You can be attacked while you're capping. They put a message into global chat that a fort is under attack, so the other faction that's controlling it can come try to attack you while you're capping, essentially. Groups of people will run around and cap forts together, sometimes individuals. And then war has 2 stages. There's declarations, where you have to run PvP faction missions in a given area to build what's called influence in a territory. That's what these bars show. And once you've gotten your influence to 100%, then your faction can declare war on the faction that holds the territory currently. You can't attack your own color, only the others. So for purple, we can only attack yellow and green. And then when you've declared, a specific company will get the war deck, the declaration, and that's the company that will be responsible for organizing the attack and gets to control the roster against the company that's defending that territory. That's the sieges. All right, and war is the endgame PvP mode, 50v50. It's really fun. I've been in a handful of wars. It's not easy to get into wars necessarily, but it is very fun. Sometimes it's a little bit who you know, just not how good a PvPer you are. Though if you're a good PvPer, you're going to have a much better chance of getting into the wars.
Aventus came over here 6 times to tell me about you and the wolves. 6 times. I only need... Well then, another fox finds the den. I expect to see your name on many papers these days.
So this is the faction shop that I was talking about. Each of the main cities in each of the territories has a faction vendor. So we can buy different rewards from these vendors or get missions. So these missions here on the top are PvE missions. They'll be go and kill a certain number of enemies or go and collect a certain number of items typically in a specific territory. And that will yield you this amount of faction experience or tokens and then amount of faction experience. And that dictates what rewards you can buy. So there's different tiers of rewards. And then that's unlocked by the faction experience. And then the tokens that you earn for each of these missions give you the currency to buy these items. So decent low to mid tier PvP gear, not end game. Then when you're all the way up at the top tier, you can buy something called gypsum orbs from your vendor, and those help you level your weapons, your end game weapons and armor. So that's actually a really important reason to join a faction, is that you can get 2 of these orbs for increasing your expertise per day. We're not going to buy any rewards right now. We'll skip that because we can talk to faction representatives in any of the cities. You don't need to be right on a fast travel if you're in an area that has a fast travel. You just need to be in that city, town. You don't have to go to the actual portal itself. And we're just going to fast travel back. Actually, you know what? Yonas is down here. No, that's not Yonas. Where's Yonas? For our main story quest. Further down? No. Let's see. Main story quest. It's pinned. Okay. He's south of the major city, so let's fast travel over here and talk to Yonas, who's going to continue us down our road on the main story quest. And then, guys, we're probably going to hit it for the evening. It's getting relatively late. I was on super late last night and getting a little tired. But we've been able to explore the faction system and actually complete our faction quest to join the Syndicate. Again, the factions all work the same way, so what the ideology is just kind of what sounds like your personality and sounds fun to you. The rewards are the same. Except for, you might have a faction that's controlling a more significant chunk of the map at a given time. And right now, purple has the least amount of map. So we're joining a bit of a disadvantaged function or faction right now with only 2 of the territories. That's okay. In terms of PvP, sometimes companies conquer a whole island, or a faction will conquer the whole island, and then they'll get tired of owning everything and switch colors and kind of start the process anew. So there's some things that could be fixed on faction territory control, as it's called, and we'll talk about that in future streams. you have 16 enemies. That seems really easy. So my greatsword is basically built around 2 attacking abilities and 1 defensive. So 2 onslaught stance and 1 defiant stance. Okay, where are you, Jonas? Down here. Jonas used to stand in one spot that you would have to run but to and from constantly for a huge number of quests. So he moves around now, so it's actually pretty improved. Where are you at, buddy? He likes to fish. I know that. We first meet him as a humble fisherman, but we'll find out that he's more than meets the eye. And he must be. He's got a server named after him. We're on his server. Zoom in. So walking through water, you can traverse a lot of water areas. There's no swimming currently. You can spend 20 seconds with your head submerged underwater and you just keep walking to the other side. There's a lot of basically streams and even small lakes that you can get across, or rivers, without drowning. So otherwise, if it's a super large lake, you're going to have to run around the edge of the lake and not try to wade across.
Away with you, ghost. You'll
Jonas, he looks a little worse for the wear.
I remember you not and care not to, even if I could.
He's suffering from some memory issues.
I offer you nothing, but you remain. I can give you a name, if that would help. Some have called me Jonas. There are other names, but they will not speak themselves. One is enough. Only those who seek misery would ask such a thing.
We're asking about the
You
corruption.
should banish your misery, like I have banished mine.
But we're hearing this crazy voice in our head of this lady.
Perhaps a hole in your mind. The stones to the north are useful to fill such holes. You can read them if you can find them. Replace your ghost with others.
So we're now in Windsward. We're going to get our first territory buff in Windsward. So we'll go for standing gain. Let's see where our quest chain is going to take us next. Right up above here, we have a couple areas. Alioth, Divine Rise. I'm going to adventure through this area and try to find some inscriptions called the Old Stone Remembers, which will give us a little bit of clues about who Jonas is and what path he's going to set us on, which is really going to change our entire role in our quests in Aeternum. So, guys, it's been fun. Hope you learned about the faction system tonight. Again, just really briefly, political intrigue is what the faction system is about. We get to participate in open world PvP and territory control. Get to benefit from fast travel discounts. They didn't talk about that in the Enclave screen we looked at. And you get access to the vendor shop, which has some cool gear and some very important end game items called orbs that we want to collect on a daily basis. So also get missions from those guys that will show you can add up to some significant XP gains that we can run along with the other types of missions that we're doing already. Main story quests, side quest, and town board quests. We can add faction missions to that and be doing 4 kinds of experience gaining at one time, essentially. So that's it for tonight. As always, appreciate you joining and hope that you have a great rest of your weekend. If we don't see the rest of this weekend, I probably will not be on tomorrow night. We'll wait until one of the weeknights coming up for our next stream. And then I get to travel to Phoenix next weekend to watch my younger daughter play soccer So excited about that, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and we will see you at some point next week. Thanks a lot. This is VannKraken. This was Aeternum Academy exploring the faction system, and talk to you soon.